All right, we're just going to do a quick walkthrough so you can visually see the car. We'll point out some of the bad stuff. We'll just keep it a quick video though. Sorry if it's so shaky. The driveway's all tore up from the winter this year. We'll get down a little bit closer here. Point out some blemishes. You'll see areas like this. The past owner, like they put some sort of like coating or just flat black paint on the spots where all the rock chips were going. No rust or anything in those areas. It's not hiding anything. It's just what they did. Did it all in the rocker panels too. The rocker panels are pretty much solid. We'll point out one spot I seen when we were under there. You'll see little orange spots. Those are all rock chips. Little rub spot there. This is the driver's side door. So you're gonna see this. It's not through rust, but it is pitted quite a bit. I wouldn't call it surface rust, but another little spot in front of it. Another little rock chip. Another area here behind the front wheel arch. Just some road debris marks. Going through here, front fender, little spot there. It looks like the owner tried to put a little bit of paint in there, trying to keep it under control, but it's turning orange. We'll go walk around the front. You see the headlights they're pretty foggy. Somebody cut the tow hitches off the front. This is the plug for the block heater. It's got 6 or 7 inch fog lights on there. They're from the 80s, early 90s. Down through here. On the passenger side, there's not a whole lot to complain about until we get to the rear wheel arch. So the rear passenger side door molding, you can see it's dog-eared a little bit. It's probably got caught on something, or you know, usually these fronts peel off when they open up and start touching the other door. So this arch right here, this is the one that was specified. Looks like somebody just ever so slightly backed into a post, or maybe smacked a guardrail, who knows. You can see there's a little scuff mark on the wheel right there. And then I'll try to get a side view so you can see that the arch is still there. It's just the edge right through here, and then towards the bottom there is a rust hole about the size of my index finger. And again, that's where that road debris hits, and imagine that and this little bit of folded metal kind of progress that a little bit. And we've got about the heaviest scratch you're going to see on the car is right there in the middle of the screen. Goes back almost the entire quarter panel. Top of the car has this sunburnt theme to it, and that's on the trunk, top of the roof, sunroof, top of the hood. Not so much as fenders though, but just the direct top of the car. And we'll move on to the inside. Let's do the trunk. See the trunk's here, all complete. Needs a little cleaning, but somebody put aftermarket speakers in. Didn't look like they attached them to anything. Toolkit, spare tire, jack, that's all there. Pocket over here. You can see a couple little spots. We had the pad out a few times, and it's getting kind of brittle. Another thing I noticed, looks like somebody, I'm not sure if it suffered vandalism or if the past owner tried to get in the trunk. They drilled 2 holes behind the license plate, and it looks like they punched out the latch pin, and they must have had a brother's friend that knew a welder weld that back in. Kind of goober welds, but it's doing what it needs to do. And then we've seen a little crack starting to happen there. There is a little bit of a water issue in the trunk. I'll show you here after we do the interior. The spare tire well has, I won't say significant rust, but rust that would probably need addressed shortly. That sat with 20-25 years with water in the trunk. This side's pretty solid over here. The drain hole, it's just elongated with rust. You'll see here in a second. This side over here is the worst rust of the entire car. We'll go ahead and shut the trunk. Doors are a little squeaky. Back seat, as you can see, they had a stack of books over here. Seat belt buckles over there. It kind of got sunburnt or faded out in the sun. A couple fingerprints, probably for me putting the seat back in after we did the suspension. So, no major rips or anything. Couple cigarette burns, about the size of a pencil eraser. Again, the car doesn't smell like smoke, but somebody definitely has smoked in it prior. Boots starting to shrink up a little bit. It's not torn or anything like that, but it's just letting go of how it was fastened in. Door card on this side. Got a door handle knob that's broken. I have one for that. We'll throw in. Front. Don't mind my mount there. Door card. Seat. No, the seat. It was somewhat dilapidated here where the frame kind of cuts up through the pad. It didn't cut through the seat yet. You'll see some wear where it usually does. Took it to a upholstery shop. I think they just put spray foam in it. It's pretty stiff, but it's doing the job. I had him do this before on a 200, and it took about 6 months for that to get softened back up again. So again, cigarette burn there on the driver's seat. Going through here, no rips, tears, anything like that. Just a couple burns here and there. Passenger side seat. Gear shifter doesn't have the leather on it anymore. And then the leather boots seeing some wear. With the locking diffs, front, center, or rear and center. Radio works, AC works, heat works, all the duct work works. The center ducts below just a hair cooler than the outside ducts. I'm sure it's probably a flap or a foam seal issue. These turn the fog lights on. It's a factory fog light switch, but I don't think the car actually had fog lights. Light switches all work. This is a manual glow plug button. Hold it about 20-30 seconds in the winter. The car usually fires right up. I like to keep it on. Just the original engine would keep it on a few seconds after the engine was started. So you could put the automatic one in, but with running waste vegetable oil, it's kind of nice to be able to turn that off and on when you want to. Hazard button, or four-way flashers. The switch is gutted. We have a jumper wire in there so that we have turn signals, but it needs a new switch. It was working kind of weird, the turn signals. And when I took the switch apart, I dropped a couple springs and a ball, and I couldn't find them. And I have one ordered, but it's been like 3 months, and I still haven't got it yet. It's overseas, so not a big issue. The hazards do work. It's just the switches. The switch isn't working like it should. Door card on the passenger side. Pretty clean car. No major stains or anything like that. It's just everything that was black's kind of turned to purple, sitting in the same spot. Steering wheel. Got some threads coming out. And you can see where the top of the steering wheel sat in the same spot, and the sun kind of baked it a little bit. It's not peeling, but it's got a nice like rhino lining grip. The mirrors, the electronics on the mirrors do work. The mirrors themselves do not. I think they're just frozen position. They click, but they will not move. Both sides. Sunroof, it occasionally works. It works manually if you crank it. If you use the button, it's about 90% of the time it does not work, so it could use a new button. The headliner's almost mint, with the exception of a couple of these grab handles are getting so brittle that they've busted off. So there's two missing. We got one that's on the verge of breaking, and the only flaw I see is this quarter size ripped on the rear seat pillar on the driver's side. So that's it here. Let me go ahead and do a quick one on the motor. Alright, this is the motor. You'll see caps and stuff. The bypass one, we had a problem with it. It kept sliding off. We've got one ordered. Again, we're having a lot of issues getting certain things in, so that's on its way. So don't mind that bolt with a side of the road fix on it. And a couple other ones. We use a lot of caps because we did use the original manifold and air box off of the gas engine, just because the air filter for this originally wouldn't fit in here. I do have the manifold if you want to put it in, but this seems to work a little bit better as far as keeping the intake noise down. You'll see here the battery tray was trimmed. There was a pulley back here that it runs the injector pump, and then the pulley itself runs a vacuum pump. We had all that hooked up, but the tie rod coming down through here, there you can see it, is about a 1/4 inch away from where that pulley would be. So we've snipped the pulley off. So there's no vacuum brakes, it's manual brakes. We tried to bent rod too, it didn't seem to help. But if you want to, you can cut the bungs out, retap the holes, put a mechanical vacuum pump in just like the old Rabbits, and go from there. As you see, it's a little bit wet down through there. The injector pump just sweats just ever so slightly diesel, not even enough to make a spot on the floor after a couple months where it's been sitting. Not too concerned about it. I figure the next time I've got to do something major on it, I'll pull the pump and have it resealed somewhere. It's only a few $100. So that's it. Blocked off the, sorry, I can't think, it's too early. This is the clutch cylinder feed for off of the master cylinder. We had problems with this cavity that kept getting plugged up. So we went ahead and put a Willwood one in. That seems to work a lot better, a lot easier to bleed, a little bit more capacity. So that one's capped off. We're trying to find a Coupe GT so we can pull the reservoir off of that. That may or may not be done by the time the auction's over with. So, and that's pretty much it for the engine. We can go ahead and fire it up. One more thing. Again, we don't have cruise control on this. We just didn't have the hardware and the bracketry for it when we did the swap. So we just went ahead and hooked this into the HVAC, and it comes on when the car comes on, and this turns on your locking diffs and all your HVAC. So just kind of teed it in there, and it works pretty good. A little weak sometimes, it's kind of sluggish, you know, after you hit the button, but it gets the job done eventually. Everything else is for the most part stock. Previous owner looks like they've had the motor out at one time, so that's been cut and welded. They didn't do too bad of a job on it, they just didn't paint it. Reason why the car was parked for 20-25 years is they put a tall battery in. You can see where the terminal hit the hood, and it fried that positive, or that harness on that side all the way to the fuse box. We replaced that out of a donor car. Only 2 wiring harnesses that were cut, or we spliced into the coil so we could have the shut-off valve and the fuel pump and the pump for the vacuum on that. And then the other wire was down here. It's got, this engine only has a low pressure oil sensor. The other one has a low and high. So just the low one's hooked up. And you'll see spaghetti here. I know we didn't color code this ground here. Again, we weren't planning on selling it, so that's about it. Two new speedometer cables. So everything else is listed. I'm not going to get into the details. It's already listed. So go ahead and fire it up. So it's kind of cold. So we'll go ahead and we'll give it about 20 seconds. That should do it. Probably a little too short on there, but it's the engine, obviously. Rattles just like the old 1.6s. Pretty simple. See, we had to cut down the cable. It's just got a cable clamp on it. Again, all these vacuum lines are plugged off, just didn't need it. heard a few people commenting why I left that on there. Again, wasn't planning on selling it. We were going to print a cap to put over there with an actual opening for this. Get back in here. This floor mat's kind of dirty for me getting in and out of it. HVAC system. Can we hear it or not? Air conditioner's on. Once it gets about 85 out, it gets a little uncomfortable in here when the AC's on, so it might need a professional go through. It's been retrofitted at some point, and we just threw a charge in it. So made sure that it had the ester oil that was okay with the R134. But the AC does work. It just kind of lacks right around that 85, 90 degree mark outside. We'll turn that off. Radio, antenna goes up. So all the buttons seem to work. So shut that off. Windows up and down. Won't hit my mount there. Those all work. Go ahead and turn these on. Sometimes you got to roll a little bit. Looks like they came right on this time. This is where I kind of think that the vacuum pump's a little bit weak for this. Usually I have to roll a little bit to really get them locked in. I think with a stronger pump it would probably click in a little bit more, but these, they work. The actuators, linkages, everything, cables, they've all been replaced, cleaned, and painted if they needed it. So we'll turn that back off. Trying to think if there's anything else that doesn't work. Turn signals, or that's windshield wipers, they work as they should. Turn signals as they should. Brake light, turn the emergency brake off, all that fun stuff. RPM gauge doesn't work. If you can get Early's diesel Jetta, I think they have a sending unit on the back of the alternator to send a signal to this gauge. So that's something you can look into. We didn't care. So you're not going anywhere fast in this thing. Mirror's a little foggy. There's me. I'll turn this back off. Good little car. Hate to get rid of it, but I've got an entire building full of stuff that I'd rather work on than have this sit around. So, but all new nickel copper brake lines, rubber lines, wheel bearings, the entire suspension's been replaced. As you can see, we'll go back here. The rear springs are just a hair higher than the front springs. And the company has assured me after a few months of driving, those are going to settle down. I do have a hitch for the car. It's basically just a whole bumper replacement. It's a little bit rough, but the guy was hauling around beetles and rabbits and stuff on a trailer with the car that we got it off of, so it seems to be working as it should for him. But that's included if you want it. If not, you know, again, I'll probably just throw it in the pile. But that's it. All original glass. There is this little rock chip right here. It's repairable. I don't know if I can zoom in any better on that or not, but there we go. Probably about the size of a pencil lead. We got a little bit of lamination fogging going on in the driver's side corner. That's about as bad as it gets. Usually when the humidity's down, that goes away completely, but a little bit of white going on there. The other side seems to be fine. Strut towers are all solid. Back underneath the hood, where all the mud kicks up, that's all looking pretty good. Look at the other side. Down in here. And just real quick, just to finish this video up, I'm gonna crawl under here. This is the worst rust on the car. So this is right where the spare tire is. As you can see, it sat with water, basically rotted out till it let the water out. It still had some in it when I got it, but there's just a few holes on the inside. But this outside part, you know, this outside exterior skin of the steel, it's definitely ate up. So this is probably about the size of a volleyball, the area that you'd need to cut out. Nothing structural. Well, it is all structural, but it's It's not holding any suspension up or anything like that. It's just kind of this back bumper valance. You'll see a little bit on that outside rocker there. There's just a little, about the size of my thumb. That's the worst rust on the car. Go to the other side. A little bit of rust on the other side. Not as bad though. You'll see the elongated drain hole right there. You can see where it's just starting to rust out. It probably rusted it out till the plug fell out. So there it is. Looks like the owner probably, when they, looks like they had everything kind of coated at one time. Crappy prep job because it's all peeling off, or that it's just so old it's flaking off when I started driving it. But you'll see up there, same spot, a little bit worse than the other side, but that's right in the fender well and rocker area. We've got that hole there. So everywhere else, this camera's terrible for close pictures, but a little bit of seam rust here and there. Nothing I would consider through rust. But and then right here, he's got this painted with whatever this black crap is he put on everything else. Again, that's all solid. It's just discolored. And then one more, and I'm done with you. On the left front rocker arm, you've got a hole. There's an, yeah, right there. Little hole right here. Again, I can put my finger in there. It's probably about this, just a little bit bigger than my thumb. Right up in there, but everywhere else around it, the jack point and everything seems to be good. We used them. It didn't push up that much. And if you look down through here, that's the floorboard. The floorboard looks all good. No seams are popping or anything like that. So that is pretty much it with the car. Again, other than the past owner putting a little bit of this black, I don't even think they had bed liner stuff back in the mid 90s, but some sort of rubberized coating. Other than that, paint has not been touched. And that is all that I can give you today. If you want any other videos or other pictures, just let me know. But we'll get it started, and then we'll put it on eBay. No reserve. That's all I can tell you. Hopefully I can get my money back out of the parts I spent. But my daughter does not want to drive it. She's got a 411 station wagon that she'd prefer to have. So I think just because it's an automatic. So that is it. Thank you.